OGTA, 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 OGTA. Why?
We knew that it might happen, knew that the greed would be strong. Game so good, toes tapping, but we still hoped we'd be wrong. A vast world to explore, oceans of champagne to pour, cars to drive, planes to fly, but why GTA? Why? 80 bucks is bad enough,
But fine, we'll deal.
life is tough, but locking shops and missions away.
Unless you got the cash to pay.
It sucks, no other way to say it. If you wanna have fun, you gotta just pay it. Games could be the great equalizer, but we've go, you just being a miser. It sucks, no other way to say it. If you wanna have fun,
You gotta just pay it.
80 bucks is bad enough,
But fine, we'll deal. Life is tough,
but locking shops and missions away.
unless you got the cash to pay.
It sucks, no other way to say it. If you wanna have fun, you gotta just pay it. Games could be the great equalizer, but we've go, you just being a miser. It sucks, no other way to say it. If you wanna have fun,
You gotta just pay it.
You gotta pay it. You gotta just pay it. It's true. It's true. You thought you didn't have to. Well, you gotta. You gotta. You don't have a choice. How is everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're feeling good. Yes, it's me, Luke the Mold Stevens, back for another one. Couldn't get enough. Couldn't get enough, and I'm back. How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good? Back from Florida? Hell yeah. I like Florida. You know, Florida, land of mystery, land of alligators, land of cigarettes, and theme parks. There's that. Speaking of theme parks, where would you expect? I mean, we all know that Unreal Engine's everywhere, right? We all know it. We've seen it everywhere. Pretty much every game is like Unreal Engine at this point. It feels like it, at least. I came across this, and you know what? Unreal Engine, they're making their way into theme parks now too. Not even joking. Check this out. Whoops, I raised the volume. Okay. Here we go. Check this out.
Disney Animatronics is here, and it's a 59-year-old skeleton. Imagineering previewed next-generation audio animatronics just a few
this is
months
getting
ago,
copyright
and
struck for
today
sure.
It's actually in the parks at Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland.
So to avoid copyright strikes for using the music, you can see they just added a new animatronic to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Anaheim, California. I think it looks terrible, personally. They're doing this like rear face projection where they have like the face mold, but then they project internally faces onto it, or externally. I think it's externally they project it. I don't totally understand it, but I think it looks bad. And so they have this like animatronic that can move its like jaw, but it's not actually like, you know, it's not like a full animatronic with like skin and all that. So as you can see, they're just projecting a face onto basically a dummy skull, and then they are able to move it and track it realistically to it that way. It doesn't really work for me though, because you can clearly see that like the skeleton, like you can see this all black. It's not, like this ain't no OLED is what I'm saying. It ain't no OLED. If it were OLED and this were like pitch black, it could work. But because the blacks are like dark gray, it just immediately gives away the illusion. Anyway, the reason why I'm showing you this, as you can see, 3D printed shell there. Okay, the reason I'm showing you this is because guess what this is running in? It's actually running using Unreal Engine itself on what is basically a gaming PC in order to get it working, which is wild. It's wild. And then they have these little like infrared motion tracking symbols that you can only see there with like certain lighting. and that's how they track the projections and stuff. It is cool, and I'm sure it is legitimately high tech, but I mean, I think it looks kind of bad. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. But anyway, yeah, the Unreal Engine ubiquitization, I guess, has spread even to theme parks. Okay, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. There's no getting away from it. Five Nights at Disney. Yeah, literally. That looks disgusting. One of the more impressive animatronics I've seen that does similar stuff is hold on, let me pull it up. The other way of doing this is what Universal Monsters Unchained, what they're doing, because they do some like actually crazy stuff. If you've not been to this theme park, this is their like this is also face projection, but it's done way better. And then this is like an actual just full animatronic that looks way better of Frankenstein. Like it actually looks really like way better, I think. I don't know. Disney sometimes they just try too hard. Like this is tech. I think this is basically the exact same technology they're using, but it's internal projection, I think. The cameras don't help it for sure. But like this dude, look at this dude. Like an actual animatronic will always look better than putting some sort of projector on it. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Okay? Just being real. The projector face, I get it that it's like impressive technology. That doesn't mean that I have to like, I don't have to like it in this context. Know what I'm saying? And I feel like that a lot of the time in like theme parks, even in video games, there's sometimes stuff like that where they're like, see, isn't this really cool and amazing and high tech? It's like, yes, but I don't like it here. It goes back, take a shot. I'm going to bring it up. It goes back to like Starfield. Cool tech, procedurally generated worlds. You can land anywhere on the planet. It'll generate the tile for which you selected. Like that's cool. Doesn't mean I like it in this context. It doesn't mean that it makes a fun game, or it doesn't mean that it makes like a better theme park ride. Cool tech. It's not always about what's the coolest tech though. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, real clankers are better than virtual clankers. Yes. See, I'm really progressive. I don't think we should take jobs away from oil guzzlers. I think we should give them jobs. Keep them in their place. That's all I'm saying. In the theme parks, that's where they should be. What did one of you guys call it? One day it got a little heated. We were on stream and I asked for people's like best and favorite terms for like robots, like anti-robot slurs basically. And dude, there were some where it was like, I know we're talking about toasters and robots. That felt bad. There were some. Clanker is the classic. One was oil guzzler. What was a tin skin? Tin skin is a good one. There's a lot. And honestly, I think those types of terms will just become more and more common as time goes by, especially as the robots start to invade. We haven't really seen the full force of it. We really haven't. Clankers sounds like something a synth would say. Exactly. Well, what's funny is if they did like Fallout 5 and tried to do the Institute thing again, you could go in and like have a synth that doesn't know it's, I mean, they did this in Fallout 4, but a synth that doesn't know that they're a synth and is like super anti-synth and hates them and uses like a ton of slurs for robots. Like, while being one. I think that could be entertaining. That could be interesting. Pinedri, thank you for the 4 months. You think Nintendo will put Ocarina of Time remake against GTA 6? Also, much love. I love the videos and streams. Makes my workday go by faster. Much love to you, my friend, and thank you. I don't know what they are thinking. I think if anybody could go in the same window as GTA, it's probably Nintendo because they are in their own kind of bubble. The people that have Switch 2s, and there are a lot of people who only have Switch 2s and are not going to get PS5s or Xboxes. Those people will need something to play this fall. A lot of like cross-platform stuff has been delayed because nobody wants to go close to GTA 6. So I think Nintendo does probably need a first-party thing out in that November, December timeframe. Some people are thinking it's going to be Duskbloods. I think Duskbloods would be like the worst decision, because I think the whole point of Duskbloods is you're trying to pull people from PS5 and from Xbox to the Switch to play the latest From Software game. And even though like From Software fans are open to playing other stuff and like they love their games, I don't know if you want to risk a lot of more like mainstream gamers like passing up on it for GTA 6, especially because it's a live service game, and live service games really depend on their initial success and like that initial spike of players, and so I don't think they should mess around with that. But Duskbloods is supposed to come out this year still. I mean, who knows where that is? I don't know. Circuit Monkey, that's see, that's one of those where I'm like, there's technically nothing wrong with what you said, but it feels like there should be. That's good. When are Elon's robots coming out? I think he says next week practically every time he talks about anything, and then it ends up being delayed 10 years. So who knows? I don't think Elon does. I know that they stopped manufacturing the Series X and Series S, which the S was like the sports car variant, and then the X was the one that had the Falcon doors, the Tesla with like the doors that swing open like that. They stopped making both of them because they're using those factories to make Optimus robots. We'll see. I don't know. Luke, any advice for a first-time dad? Says the bad dads. Thank you, first of all, for being here. As for advice, the number one piece of advice, it's my go-to. People in chat have probably heard it before. Lower back stretches. Lower back stretches. Sit with your butt against a wall. Wall, butt. Right up against it. Legs straight out in front of you like a toddler. Pull your toes towards you. Try to flex your toes up towards you. And try to bend over and touch your toes. Stretch that lower back, the hamstrings, spinal. Exactly. Stretch it out, because my God, I was not prepared for how sore my back was when we had our kids for, like, specifically my first son. You just are not, like, if you're not working in, like, manual labor where you're doing that motion a lot, you don't realize how much your back will be strained leaning over the crib, bending into the car to unbuckle the car seat and get it out. Like, you don't realize how much your back is going to be strained. And in those first 2 weeks, you're going to be tired enough. You're going to be exhausted. So do the stretches. Get ahead of it. You will thank me. Yeah, hammies, lower back stuff, like the QL muscle. The QL muscle is the one that's been strained for me. This thing. Yeah. The quadratus lumborum. This thing, these muscles I've had strained regularly. I had to go to PT for the first like third of this year regularly because I was having seizing of this and seizing of the other one is the piriformis. This thing is like a tiny muscle that goes off of your like lower back and stretches across, but it lays over the nerve, the sciatic nerve. So when it seizes, it pinches the nerve, and then you get sciatica that runs down your whole leg. It's horrible. It's like actually crippling. I'm having like a flare up the last 3 days with it as well. It's terrible. But you can usually prevent it by doing a lot of stretches and staying on top of it. So highly recommend that you do that. Highly recommend that. As for other stuff, the only other thing I would say is both you and your partner, make sure you're taking time to help each other have individual time. It's important to like not lose sight of the broader world, and to also have like some self-care time. Taking care of babies is a lot. So don't be afraid to like say, hey honey, why don't you go out with a friend, go get some dinner, go see a movie. I got the baby for tonight. And then tomorrow, I'll go out with my buddies and we'll go do something fun. Just go to a bar or something. It's important to do that. It's only a few hours, but it'll do a lot for keeping you sane. Just telling you what. That's what I would say. Cracked Cankles, what a name. Thank you for the 5. I really appreciate the content you and your team have been pouring out. I was your 0.1% of viewers, whatever it is, by the way. Hell yeah, that's awesome. I did really like the roundup thing that they did. That was really cool. That's awesome, my friend. Thank you kindly. Glad to have you here, my friend. Much love. That's wonderful. I am Big Texas. Thank you for the 5. Says that studio light is too bisexual. I can't watch this channel anymore. Everywhere I go, I want to sleep with tons of men and women at the same time. I see it everywhere. I was looking at this website. Makes me feel a certain kind of way. This bisexual light, I can't handle it. It's like, sir, I'm not sure if it's the lighting that's making you feel that way. Might be something else, something deeper down. And I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. I don't think it's the lighting. I don't think it's the lighting. Calling me crazy. News on time frame of The Witcher 1 remake. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think they said it's coming after The Witcher 4. I'd have to double check. the timelines. But it's still a little ways out. It's still a bit of a ways out, but yeah. It's a little ways out. They're taking their time. We will get The Witcher 3 DLC first, to be clear. And that I can't wait for, man. I mean, again, the idea we're getting a Witcher 3 DLC in 2026, 7, whatever. Oh my God. Oh my God. For real. What's up with Tides of Annihilation? Have you heard anything, Luke? Yes, I have. People will find out more soon enough. I don't think I can say any more. But yes, I have heard things. People will be able to we're going to find out more about it soon enough, for sure. Yeah. Do you think, depending on AC Black Flag Resync's success, they'll remake other games? Yeah, I mean, I've heard that they're already working on other remakes. I mean, there are some that are obvious, like the Rayman stuff and the Tom Clancy stuff that's been rumored for a long time, but they are actively working on other stuff, like trying to get the ball rolling on that stuff. The problem is just like, even though remakes are technically easier than making a new game, it's still like a 2-3 year process, even with thousands of people working on it. It's just a lot of work because the big thing that they made clear when I was in Singapore, most of the stuff that they built for like Black Flag, they did not, like Ubisoft did not preserve a lot of the tools and tech in a way that would make it easier to just update it and remake it. Like, I think a lot of other games are easier to remake because it's basically just swap out this gear for this gear and put this coat of paint on it and we're kind of good. But because Ubisoft moved to the next generation Anvil engine and rebuilt basically the whole engine in the last like 5-ish years, none of that works anymore. So they were saying like all of the animation stuff, in Black Flag, the way that it worked, like even for something as simple as like the ship audio, like look at this, open image here. So in the original Black Flag, all of the audio, all of it comes from the dead center of the mass of the ship. There's basically in the engine one speaker that is sitting right there. And that's where all of the audio is coming from for pretty much everything, okay? It's how the engine handles it. The way that the new Anvil engine works, though, is that they use Dolby Atmos, so they're encoding physical locations in the environment for the sound. So when rain hits the water, that is placed below the ship. When there's thunder overhead, that audio plays out overhead. When people yell from the front of the ship, the bow of the ship, back to you, the speaker is over there. They have like dozens or even hundreds of speakers basically placed around the environment. So if you're wearing good headphones, if you have surround sound, or even if you're just moving the camera to shift the direction that the audio is coming from, it sounds like it should. It sounds directional. The people are distanced the proper way that they should be, as opposed to what it used to be, which was basically just one speaker in the dead center of the ship. But that's something gamers are used to because that's kind of a standard in the AAA space nowadays, that you have engines that calculate sound that way. That was not standard in 2013. So they've had to rebuild all of it. You know, they have to redo everything. And shocker, when you're audio balancing and everything used to come out of one speaker, but now you got to figure out how to balance it for dozens in any given moment, that changes a lot, makes it way more complicated. So remakes for some games are pretty straightforward. I think it's not that big of a deal. Like it's my understanding that like remaking The Last of Us Part 1 was not anywhere near as challenging as like what they've had to do with Black Flag, where they had to rebuild pretty much every single thing. They didn't have the ship controllers. They didn't have any of the original scripts for naval combat or anything. The actually docking and fighting on the water between ships, that was something that had to be completely rewritten. Like it was a lot. It was a lot. So, but it's why I like talking to game devs, because it's things that you just would never think about, you know, like you never would really process how much would have to go into something as simple as the sound when you're sailing. You just think, well, have some water effects and some clouds, and then the storm comes, blows some thunder, whatever. Like you don't realize how much has to go into that. And it's also why like audio design and like the technical simulation of the water, all of that stuff, it's kind of like the most thankless element of building a game like a Black Flag Resynced or something, because when it works properly, you don't really think about it. When it's not working properly, you notice it. Like, oh my God. You know, if you're sailing on the seas and it's working, you're like, oh, this is cool. Cool. If it glitches and isn't working, you instantaneously notice it and it ruins it. Same with like audio or something. Like when it's not balanced, you know, but when it's properly balanced, you're not thinking about it. You're thinking about the story or the gameplay mission that you're on or something. You know, it's just a different animal. But anyway, they are entertaining and looking into other remakes for sure. It's just going to be a matter of what they can do within a reasonable time frame for sure. Alderman Trees, thank you for the 5, my friend. Thank you. I'm a geologist / geologic engineer. Hell yeah. That sounds fun. And there have been projections using Unreal to do rockfall analysis. Oh, where they like simulate the rocks? That's kind of cool. Unreal Engine geology simulation. Maybe. This is mainly like tutorials on how to build out landscapes. People actually like doing some simulation stuff. I mean, I'm sure that you can, it's got a physics engine. I'm sure you can do like actual reconstruction and stuff with it. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Displacement in Unreal Engine. Oh, da, 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 da. That's pretty freaking sweet. Pretty freaking sweet. Kyle, thank you for the 5. You interrupted my music. Now I have to wait till after stream. I am sorry, Kyle. Are you one of those people that sits in a chair, nothing else around you, and you just listen to music? Are you one of those people? I respect it. Like I worked at Magnolia Home Theater back in the day, and I sold a number of different types of speaker setups. Bowers and Wilkins were like the most popular, just because like these are the speakers that the Beatles used to master their music. So if you want to hear like the Beatles balanced the way that they intended it to be, Bowers and Wilkins speakers are like the ones that you use. Phenomenal speakers, right? And given how expensive these are, yeah, Abbey Road edition. Yeah, I mean, these are iconic. This isn't what the ones they used were, but as you can see, they are expensive. $70K a pair. 70 big ones. 70 grand for 2 speakers. That's it. So I used to sell these types of speakers pretty regularly, and we'd have people come in and get them. And one of the guys, I mean, he bought these, and not these exact ones, but he bought a pair of Bowers & Wilkins Tower speakers, and then he would just sit in a chair and just sit. He had a room dedicated to it, and he would listen to his music. And that was it. Just sit and listen to music. And I was like, I respect it, man. I always think of like, you listen to music while you're doing other things. Like you listen to music while you're doing yard work, while you're cleaning the car, while you're painting a room, while you're, whatever. You listen to music while you're driving. But there's something kind of badass about just sitting and listening. The speakers cannot sound 70K good. The problem with high-end audio is once you hear it, and you have money, granted, once you hear what truly hi-fi audio is like, it does make everything else sound like hot donkey ass farts. It just does. Like, I kind of wish I had never been exposed to it because it's also spoiled me. But it's why it like physically irks me when I hear that people like, no, I use those headphones they hand out for free on the airplane. And I'm like, oh, please tell me you're joking. You know, same with OLED screens. Yeah, like a really good OLED screen will make every other type like LCD panel look terrible and just be like, I can't go back. It's kind of like that. Yeah, it spoils you. And so I would caution against going to these. You can go to showrooms and like they'll listen rooms. I don't know. You can go to places where they'll let you listen to these and you can try them out yourself. A lot of the time they're pretty picky and, you know, kind of a-holes about it. Like this is literally one of those places where if you walk in and you say, how much are those? They laugh and ask you to leave because it's literally, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Or if you have to ask, you're in the wrong mindset to buy these. Like that's the vibe that they give off. It's like really toxic and stupid. It was one of the reasons I didn't love that job because you had to talk to people like that and act like they were brilliant, you know. It was like, yes, sir, that's smart. Yes, I agree. Like hi-fi audio, really cool. But the thing is, 70K speakers, these aren't plug and play. You're not listening to Spotify on these, okay? Spotify through these is like an insult. It's like having an IMAX screen and then projecting from your phone. It's like, what is wrong with you? No, that's not what we're doing. You have to have every link in the chain hi-fi as well. So you're getting 70K speakers, but you're also getting $20,000 worth of preamps and amps. And then you're also having to get original masters of the music you're listening to. A lot of them like original presses of vinyls, not digital presses, actual original physical presses. And so for the 70K speakers, you're talking about probably another 50K in other equipment just to get the music playing. And then if you're spending 70K on speakers, you're probably also kitting out your listening room to be like soundproofed and treated. So that's another like 50 grand. So like these are technically a minority expense in the room that you're using to listen to them. But that's how crazy hardcore people go with hi-fi audio. It's crazy. The people who are into hi-fi audio are out of their mind. Okay. It's bad. It's real bad. It's real bad. It's a dangerous thing to get into because the ceiling is mighty high. It's mighty high. But as you can see, like these are original rooms. So George Lucas and John Williams recording Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace in Studio One in 1999 using Bowers and Wilkins speakers. I mean, there's a reason they're iconic. There's a reason why they're used by the best teams in the world. But yeah, you just it's a whole world a lot of people are not familiar with because it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, like ordering Wagyu well done. Exactly. It's like, why are we even here? Exactly. It's like going to a steakhouse, ordering Wagyu well done and asking for ketchup to be served with it. They're just going to yell at you and refuse to serve you. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Anyway, sorry, that was all in response to one super chat that said you interrupted my music. I'm sorry, I went on a diatribe. Pinhedry, thank you again for that super chat earlier. We answered that one. Answered the one about being a first-time dad. Much love to you, my friend. Redhead Jack, thank you for that 24 months. Oh, baby, 2 years. I'm about to blow way too much disposable income on an all Noctua build. Upgrade minus the GPU. I've got a 4080 and the Noctua 5080 ain't worth it. Dude, that's pretty baller. That's pretty baller. Because I've seen some of those. Like these, where's some pictures? Like the all Noctua builds of PCs where they just use all of those fans. Is pretty baller. Very earthy. Very earthy. That's I could get along with that. That's pretty cool. This is baller. The open case concept with wood. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's fun. That's fun. I like it. I like it. I respect it. I respect it. Are like fans made of wood? No, I don't think that would work. I don't think that would work. That'd be bad. Let's see. Sir Thomas, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Hey, Luke, loving the content, but for the first time, I got to disagree with you. Bring it on. I'm all for GTA 6 Ultimate Edition. I see it as a reward for spending more money, not a paywall. I mean, I think inevitably there's that distinction between like what is a reward to people who support more and what is a like punishment or a restriction for people that have less. I understand, like it's like I tried to express in the video. I understand this is a $3 billion game. I get that. And that's expensive. It's a lot of money and they got to make it back somehow. And so providing a reason for people to spend $100 per copy by giving exclusive stuff that they can't get with the $80 copy, I understand why they're doing it. And I understand that if any game ever could justify like the need for $100 a copy, it would be this one, because it is literally the most expensive entertainment anything ever. Like no other movie, no other TV series, no, like nothing has ever cost this much as they've spent on this. So I can understand why in this particular case maybe it makes more sense than with others, but at the same time I think on just a guttural level, I just like it just kind of sucks that people who have more money will have an easier time getting the full experience than people who have less money. And I just think that kind of sucks. Like I understand why it is that way. And unfortunately in a lot of sports and a lot of hobbies, that is the case. It's not like this is new. Like if you have more money, you can take more time off to go play golf. You can go to the fancier clubs and play the nicer courses. If you have more money, you can afford to get the better Warhammer 40K army. If you can have more money, you can buy the bigger, crazier Lego sets. I get that this is just how life is. It still just kind of sucks, you know, especially because for a long time in gaming, everybody's kind of on the same level. And the only thing that you would really get by spending more was like cosmetics and stuff like that. And I'm willing to make that sacrifice. But in this case, it's like actual gameplay stuff, shops and things. And that's where I'm just like, it just kind of sucks, you know? Paying for content. I almost read praying for content. I was like, some people might. Paying for content already in game is a paywall. Paying for content already in game. Oh, you mean like they put it in the game. They're just arbitrarily saying you don't get access to it because you didn't pay more. Yeah, I mean, it is by definition a paywall. Yeah. No, for sure. Like by the word. By the word. Luke, please consult the great gaming orb you hide away from the world and let us know if you think Sony will bother with PS5 Pro at this point. Should we talk about that? Should we get to the thing? I've been putting it off so far on the stream because we have bad news. We like real bad news. Real bad news about next gen hardware. I'm going to tell you about it. Just buckle up, my friends, because there's no way to spin this. There's no way to spin this where it's like, well, let's look on the bright side. It's just bad. Okay, it's just bad. Let me get into this and then we'll circle back. Well, thank you for that super chat. I got norovirus again. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. That sucks so bad. Turns out the tomato paste I used was contaminated by the factory and I didn't know that a recall had been issued. Much better now. Oh my God, that's crazy. I'm glad you figured out what it was instead of just like continually reinfecting yourself. But my goodness, that's crazy. Everybody check the recall notices. My God. That's wild. I'm glad you're feeling better though. I had norovirus and I mean, it turns you inside out. Tell you what. Sure do. Let's go through this topic and then we'll circle back. We'll finish out the super chats. And then I do want to show you like one of the coolest things I've seen in gaming in a minute, like for upcoming games. It's legitimately really, really cool. Let me show you. Okay. So news segment thing. So we do have some breaking news coming from a very reliable leaker when it comes to next-gen hardware. This is an individual by the name of Kepler L2. Kepler actually has a track record that's like pretty reliable for accurately leaking technical or specifications and stuff for hardware that has yet to be revealed and yet to launch. So in the past, he's been able to call out specific things about like, this hardware will have this chipset, it'll have this much memory, it is coming from these manufacturers. He probably is somewhere along the supply chain, and that's how he has knowledge of these things. But the point is, this is not just some crazy person on 4chan. It is somebody with an actual track record that knows what he's talking about. He's active on several different forums, such as Reset Era, but he just made a reference in response to Devon Explorer when he described how the bill of materials for the upcoming PlayStation 6 has gone up significantly. What he previously said was that as you can see, in March of 2026, he estimated that the bill of materials for the PlayStation 6 was approximately $760. That's just to manufacture it, okay? There's other things you got to consider, which are significant, as other people have pointed out. As you can see, this does not include facility overhead, R&D to actually develop the console and put it together, like design it basically. Labor, marketing the console, sales, support, business-to-business logistics, such as from warehouse to retailer, etc., etc. This cost that we're describing as $760 back in March excluded that. That's just the components to put it together, okay? Not even paying the people to put it together. That is just the components as components, okay? However, he has come out since then and clarified bill of materials went up by roughly $200 since I made that post, which takes the bill of materials now to make what's expected to be the PlayStation 6. It's taken that bill of materials up to $960 US, not inclusive of those other things like marketing, like R&D write-offs, like actually shipping it to distributors and people all around the world. It doesn't account for any of that. That isn't the end of it. As Insider Gaming says, as many analysts in the tech industry warn that RAM and SSD prices are yet to soar with no end in sight, thanks to AI. That means that the bill of materials for the PlayStation 6 could continue to rise, putting it well past the $1,000 mark. To be clear, Asha Sharma said they expect a further doubling of their cost of materials by fall of 2027. So they're expecting that RAM prices and storage prices will double again by this time, or later. I mean, certainly by this time in 2 years, but within the next like year and a half, they will double again, which means that the bill of materials, of which maybe like $300 of this, $350 is those like high sensitivity things like RAM and storage cost, those could double again, taking the bill of materials alone past $1,000. Now, in the past, the way that Sony has dealt with things like this is by coming in and saying, well, we'll sell it at a loss, right? We'll sell the console that cost us, let's say, $340. We'll sell it for $299. We'll eat that $40 and we will sell it to you at a loss, but we're going to make that money back on software sales and accessories and stuff. We'll call it good. Well, remember I said there's no good way to spin this? Somebody at a recent event asked Sony executives what their plan is, and Sony clarified that they do not plan to sell, quote, sell hardware at significant losses, but it's monitoring the market. That's good. What this was specifically was during a Q&A session held at a recent meeting based around the company's game and network services division. One attendee asked Sony executives to provide an update on their current thinking regarding hardware pricing and profitability, specifically referring to the next generation platform, PlayStation 6. The attendee asked the execs whether it was, quote, reasonable to assume that your pricing will continue to prioritize profitability of the hardware as it does today. In other words, are you going to continue trying to sell the PlayStation 6 with a profit margin, or are you willing to sell it at a loss to get it in people's hands? The official answer given by Sony's transcript from the Q&A noted that it considers its hardware to be one of the most important parts of the gaming experience and that it wants to make sure users recognize the value offered by its hardware. Whenever an executive says, we want you to recognize the value in the thing you're buying, that just says we're going to charge you a lot for it because it's expensive and you're going to like it because you're going to appreciate the value. Like, what? We want you to appreciate the value. Shut up. It also stated that the company doesn't plan to sell hardware at a loss as a matter of principle, but that it's currently monitoring the market situation. What they said was, quote, first, we regard hardware as the base for providing the gaming experience. And by offering products such as the PlayStation Portal Remote Player, PS Portal, we aim to provide experiences tailored to users' playstyles beyond the living room, which has traditionally been considered the primary usage environment. As for pricing, it is not realistic for us to absorb all component cost increases, and we have already implemented some price increases outside Japan. At present, however, sales are proceeding as planned, and we do not believe this has led to a decline in customer demand. In other words, as we've raised prices, people are still buying it enough that we don't see any crisis present. This is why I've said it's really important that Xbox is healthy so that they actually put some fire under PlayStation's butt and like force them to be competitive. Because right now, the whole point is PlayStation doesn't really have much of a competition at play really at all. Like as Xbox is imploding continually, even as like they have a good showcase and then they fire pretty much everybody, like it's just, there's no real competition. So Sony doesn't feel the need to push that hard. As a principle, quote, we do not intend to sell hardware at significant losses. At the same time, we are carefully monitoring the market and continue to evaluate our approach. We believe it is important for us to make every effort to ensure that customers fully understand the value we provide in relation to pricing. What the hell does that even mean? I cannot stand that stuff. I cannot stand that stuff when they're like, yes, it's expensive because we're trying to remind people of the value we offer. Shut up. Like, what are you talking? It just, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. There's something so gross about it. Being like, it's expensive. Yeah, because you need to appreciate the value. Okay, whatever. Anyway, the point of all of this is that as of today, according to Kepler, who has previously demonstrated a pretty reliable track record, the bill of materials alone is $960. Some people that are way more savvy in supply chains than me have estimated that this means if it were shipping like today, they probably would need to charge $1,100 to break even, possibly even $1,200 to break even. And that's assuming that they cut corners with like lower marketing costs, that they bundle the R&D budget into Sony's parent company R&D budget instead of tying it directly to this product, things like that. This means, as Insider Gaming, though, points out, this means that by the time the PlayStation 6 actually launches, though, because it's not launching tomorrow, it launches next year, late next year. That's the current plan, at least. Next generation consoles, at least where the PlayStation 6 is concerned, could cost $1,400 to $1,500 to produce by the time you get there. Because again, if you say that $300 of the $960 is going to double by next fall when they're actually launching it, that takes the bill of materials to like $1,300, and then like assembly, distribution, everything starts to get it up towards like $1,400, $1,500. Now, let's be totally honest with ourselves. That also probably means they aren't manufacturing very many because they know not many people will buy it at $1,500. And so they have a limited run. These things will sell out instantaneously. When they sell out, you're going to have scalpers then taking them and selling them on eBay and Facebook Marketplace and everywhere else for thousands upon thousands of dollars. And pretty much nobody except scalpers are probably going to have these things for the first like 6 months to a year. Just being real, just being honest. And because PlayStation will know that and will be aware that, hey, scalpers don't buy games for their consoles because they're not using the consoles, they're flipping them. It probably means that they also don't really want a launch title that is a big budget item that is fully exclusive to that platform. So I think it's going to be full cross-gen for like a year and a half, 2 years. It begs the question, why are we even launching the next gen in 2027 if every game is going to come out on both platforms? You're not going to have a true next generation exclusive or something. I don't know. I feel like I am missing a massive piece of this puzzle. And if somebody in chat has it, please let me know, because I do not understand if this means that the next gen consoles launch at like $1,500 It's crazy to say, but if it means they launch at 1,500 and they're going to have to do cross-generational stuff for every game because they don't want to like sell their massive $200 million exclusive game to 1,500 players like that were able to buy it. I don't understand why they don't just wait another year. Like, why not just wait another year? I don't understand. The one piece of this that was interesting. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find memory. Let me see if I can find it. Is this it? Is this it? No. I'm trying to find one specific story where basically I could have sworn, where is it? Basically, the story was, I believe it was Valve with relation to the Steam Machine. They went to memory manufacturers and basically said, hey, we want to buy a bunch of RAM for our Steam machines and for our hardware. And if they were quoted a certain price from the memory manufacturers, and then Steam or Valve or whoever kind of scoffed at it and said, that won't do. It needs to be lower. What if we do this volume? What if we, like, if they tried to negotiate at all, the manufacturers would not engage with them anymore. They would just like scoff and then ignore their emails and stop responding because they know they don't really need to do business with Valve. They'll just go to Meta and go to Google and go to Microsoft, and they will pay them however many billions to continue doing it and paying crazy high prices for the RAM because they can afford it, you know? So maybe there's an aspect of that where like Sony doesn't want to rock the boat and has contractual limitations or commitments to manufacture X number of consoles by late 2027. So they're like, we might as well sell it or something. Or maybe that's what it is. Was it in a Gamer Nexus video? Okay. That could be it too. That could be it too. I think also, I mean, Lenovo has also mentioned this. They warn high memory prices are, quote, the new normal through 2030, as DRAM and NAND may never return to early 2025 levels just because the game has changed, man. The game was rigged from the start. And they outlined why they expect this to be the case and that it's just the new normal. Furthermore, Micron announced that they have locked in historically high memory prices for 5 years. Big buyers agreed to deals that will deliver historically enormous margins and profits to Micron specifically. If you've not seen a chart, hold on, that will make you super depressed, let me show you. Hey, little songbird. Look at this. You might think that this is an estimated trajectory for a rocket ship, and that I think would be fair to conclude. You can see 2024, 2025, kind of back down. Okay, right around like fall of 25, as the RAM crisis starts to hit, this number starts to go up a lot. Oh, what's this? Oh my God. This is the stock price chart for Micron. The guys that just locked in historically high prices for all of the memory that they manufacture for the next 5 years or so. SanDisk is another one. Yeah, dude. SanDisk Corp. 5 years. Yeah. And it's basically just because there's no one else really competing in this space. Like, there's only so many places in the world that can manufacture this stuff. And they're all being used by Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA. Like, there's just only so much you can do. And that's just where we are until more supply comes in. Now, the only way I think that this could adjust back down within like 2 years is what we've seen is like investors. They have primarily been punishing companies that are continuing to spend crazy amounts of money on infrastructure buildouts for AI stuff because they've not seen returns for it. So like Microsoft announced they're spending another $75, $80 billion on stuff. their stock price drops by like 4%. Like, investors are not happy that they continue to spend this much. The problem is you're spending it, but if they spend like the $80 billion, that's for like contracts and commitments for the next like 6 months, year, 2 years, whatever, as they build out the data centers. And that's the supply. Like, so even if they're like, okay, no more spending, you won't see the supply loosen until they're done with those orders and commitments that they have. Because again, there's only so many places in the world that can manufacture this stuff. So there just is no easy solution. There was some reporting previously that there was going to be a way for basically orders to be canceled from like OpenAI, and that would then alleviate pressure. But what's since come out is that reporting was not accurate. And in fact, a lot of these commitments have been tied up for very, very long periods of time. Because basically Micron, they are like, they kind of, them, SanDisk, a couple of other smaller ones, they kind of are like the kings at the table. They dictate what the conversation is going to be. And companies like Apple, like Microsoft, like NVIDIA, they don't have the choice of working with other people. They have to go along with it. And so if they say, no, you're going to pay us this insane price and we're going to lock in that price for 5 years. If they say no, they just got their supply slashed and now their company is imploding because they put all of their chips in this whatever square space. I don't know. Like, they're screwed. They're screwed. Yeah, Samsung is the other one, makes up like 75% of the DRAM supply. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, have I seen the Gamers Nexus video on the DRAM cartel? Says Fire. Hold on, it clipped your name off. Firechild, thank you for that. Very generous 20. Yeah, well, and this is, so interestingly enough, I think this just happened today. If anybody has not seen the Gamers Nexus video on the DRAM cartel. I mean, they've covered a lot of this stuff with like discussions of the companies like Micron and how they do this. But there was just this morning a lawsuit filed against a lot of these DRAM manufacturers, against a lot of these companies, basically accusing them of operating as basically like a monopoly or an oligopoly, I guess it would be, but operating as sort of a cartel, working together, collaborating together to collectively negotiate up these limited prices and capped deals to drive the cost of all of this up. But even that is like, okay, they file a lawsuit. It's going to take 4 years to get through the courts. And even if they find that, yes, they did collude together and they did like work together, which I think they definitely did, allegedly. Even if they find that that's the case, it will still be in years, well outside of this. You know, it just is what it is. Now, I've seen some people in the comment section being like, we should stand up and demand that this isn't going to happen. So stop buying stuff. You know, the problem is though, that most of this spending that's causing this is not like the people buying a Steam machine. Okay. I think it's priced crazily, as I'm sure even the people that buy it agree. But like, buying a Steam machine is not driving up the cost of RAM. Spending $80 billion on server farms in the middle of a desert somewhere, that is what's driving up the cost. And that is something that we just have no control over. Like, this is why I say it just sucks and there is no happy way to spin it, because there's just like literally nothing you can do. Like, there just is nothing. The market will correct itself. I agree, eventually it will. I do agree that in like 3 years, 4 years, most likely the efficiency of like LLMs, the efficiency of most of these neural networks and the training algorithms and stuff that are used for them will all be greatly improved. And you will likely not need the infrastructure that they will have built out by that point in the same way. And then you'll see stock prices adjust and crash, and some companies will go away. Others will get, blown up and do amazingly well. But we're still talking about like 3 to 4 year timelines for full corrections and adjustments to take place. And that's why it just sucks. Because again, we're looking at it through the lens of gamers and like consumer electronics and stuff. And in that capacity, in that regard, it just is what it's going to be for the next handful of years, because the timelines we're talking about are enterprise timelines. the enterprise orders where they made a commitment through the end of 2027 for this much RAM for a data center that's being built right now that's not done until spring of 2028. And so all of these orders have to be fulfilled, and it just kind of sucks, you know? It just kind of sucks. I don't know what what else there is to say about it. I mean, it just sucks. What it probably realistically means is that gamers just need to be more flexible, entertain like used hardware for sure. I think that will help a lot. But the easiest and clearest thing for companies like PlayStation is to just make it clear, like, we're not people are not going to be able to buy a $1,500 PlayStation 6. They're not going to be able to buy a $2,000 Xbox, whatever. That just doesn't work. Like, yes, you'll have some big streamers or YouTubers or whales and people that have like expendable income be able to do it. Sure. That's always been the case though. But those people do not make up the vast majority of spenders and of consumers in the industry that are buying up games and building out the industry. And so, you know, keeping a few whales happy with a high-priced machine is not going to be enough to keep it afloat. You know, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. What if it's not done till 2035? They'll have an excuse to delay Fallout 5 even further. No, I think as we've seen, like, don't mistake the very real reality that like Unreal Engine 6 has been described by a lot of the presentations that they've done on it as an engine that's all about scalability. So they want you to be able to use Unreal Engine 6 to like go and this is technically Unreal Engine 5, but they want you to be able to build out these environments, and then the engine will scale it down to whatever platform, whether you want it playing on a mobile handheld, if you want to play it on a massive gaming PC or a console or whatever. They're trying to build games where it scales, because I think they know that high-end electronics are going to be far less common than they have been previously. Like, it used to be, you talk to somebody and like, they back in the day, they had a 970. I knew people when I worked at Best Buy who had 970s when they launched the 10 series. I knew people that had like a 1080, a lot of people that had the 1080. Nowadays, I think it's going to be way more rare for casual gamers to have like a 5080 or to have certainly a 5090. You know, those things are going to be reserved for the people that are like professionals in the space, the people that like play games for their job. They can afford it and at least justify it. But I think that the age of regular people, at least who are responsible with their money, having the highest end gaming hardware, unfortunately, that's just going to be really, really hard to swing for a long time. Because those GPUs are going to go from like 700, which somebody could save up for, maybe a big birthday treat or Christmas treat to themselves. They could justify that. But I think once you get to the realm where like those graphics cards are now like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, that doesn't work so well. You know, that doesn't happen. You know, what are you going to do? And don't actually own hardware. I mean, this is the happy coincidence for a lot of these companies like Nvidia, like Microsoft. They are trying to push people into cloud gaming anyways, because selling you hardware, they get your money once. If they get you signed up for GeForce Now, you use their data centers that they just spent all that money building, and they get monthly revenue from you. They get $20 a month or whatever, and they're happy about it. You know, so I think that that's going to be the big push, certainly, is probably a lot more cloud streaming. You notice also in that article where Sony describes this, what is like the first thing they say? People are asking about pricing of next-gen hardware, implying it's like you might have to take a loss on it in order to get people to buy it. What is the first thing the executive brought up? What is the very, very first thing? First, we regard hardware as the base for providing the gaming experience. And by offering products such as the PlayStation Portal Remote Player, the cloud gaming handheld that they have, which now allows you to play direct from the PlayStation Now cloud, whatever they call it. Like the first thing they brought up was the cloud gaming handheld thing. Yes, you can stream from your console to it. Yes, if you have a console. But maybe for the PlayStation 6, one of the big things is like, yeah, you can buy the console. It's going to be $1,500. Or you can buy the handheld and stream it from our servers. And that's only $400. You're welcome. Like I think that's probably what they're going to do. It's same energy as like, we have something for them. It's called the 360. Yeah, it'll be like, what about people who can't afford $35,000 for a gaming console? Oh, well, we have something for them. It's called the PlayStation Portal, and you can stream it from the cloud. Like, I think that's what it's going to be. Yeah, $35 a month for that. Easy peasy, nice and squeezy. Like, I think that's what it's going to be. I think that's what they're doing. But this is why, again, it's so crucial to have healthy competition, because I swear to God, if Asha could come in and offer, like, an aggressively priced piece of hardware and they're not pushing the same stuff, it could actually be an interesting game of putting Sony in their place as they're pushing that way. But I don't know if that's what's going to work. I mean, it doesn't seem like the energy and vibes are doing enough for Xbox. Yeah, average price of games hardware is up 14% compared to a year ago. Xbox hits worst US sales month on record. PlayStation 5 drops 58% as hardware prices soar. Yep. People keep asking, they're like, when do you think we see the market crash? This is what a crash is like. You are literally in it. One of the fascinating things is that people don't realize they're living through a historical moment until it's past. I'm telling you right now, this is that crash. Okay? Like, this is what it looks like. Prices doubling or tripling it. You're seeing what were previously considered to be like really reliable, safe bets flopping catastrophically. Like, this is what that looks like. And as with every crash, there are major corrections, and there are going to be winners and losers, and there's going to be some that do not survive and others that emerge out of it and grow stronger and better than ever. Nowadays we talk about like the main players in the gaming space being like Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. Back in the day, I mean, the lineups looked a lot different. Like, of course, of course, if we go back, so the initial gaming crash, of course, happened in like 1980. It was the mid 80s, but 83 is what's usually attributed to it. But as you can see from here, you had things like Atari, of course, Nintendo. They ended up being one of the winners. Sega, the Turbo Graphics. Ooh, baby. Look at that. They're just making up their own spelling. Why not? Turbo Graphics. Hell yeah. Look at that. That's baller, dude. Turbo Graphics. A lot of these didn't survive. They didn't make it through the crash. You know, they didn't make it, but there were some that emerged and ended up becoming huge, and others, you know, pushed through and then ended up being like changing. You know, of course, like Atari is still technically a thing, and Nintendo obviously still thinks. Sega is still definitely a thing, obviously, but their role in the industry shifted and changed. And that's what I think is going to happen here, is that things will just be different. Things will change. But I do think that new winners will emerge and new players will emerge. Some that you probably haven't even heard of at this point will come out and be like, in 10 years, we'll look back. Oh yeah, they didn't really pop out until X company imploded and then, you know, they took over. I think that that's what's happening. But for people wondering, like, when is the crash coming? I'm telling you, we've been in the AAA gaming crash for the last couple of years, few years really. That's already been happening because it's just unsustainable. You can't have $200-300 million budgets. That just doesn't work. But now I think, especially with hardware, you're going to see a lot of pressure on the platform holders. I think the real winner is, I'm going to be honest, I think the real winner is going to be Steam. I think PC is going to be the real winner here. Because PlayStation still requires you to buy a console. $1,500 console for most people is a non-starter. I don't think that works. Nintendo, I think, will be fine. They've been able to navigate stuff pretty well. Even if they have to raise the Switch 2 price, I think that they're in their own bubble enough that they'll be able to handle it. The Ouya makes a comeback, yeah. Play those games on the television. That's what you need to do. But I think when in doubt, people will go and realize gaming hardware is crazy expensive. And PC hardware is also very expensive, but the PC market has a massive, massive secondary marketplace. And the games on PC are built for scalability. So even if you're not running with a 5090, you can be running with a GPU that's 5 years old and still play a lot of modern games just on lower settings, you know? I think that is where a lot of gamers will start to shift. And usually the shift happens at the start of the next generation, because what it does is it primes everybody for that choice. You remember the South Park episode, the like Game of Thrones, Black Friday, the Black Friday Bandaru, that one? Yeah, this 2013. This whole episode, and the whole premise was that they were trying to determine which way they went, whether they went with the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. And it started a whole war between them trying to figure out which way they would go. That's usually what happens at the start of a generation, is you got to pick which way you're going to go. And I think that's what's going to happen. If they really are so full of themselves and they think people will spend $1,500 on a console, they'll launch it next fall. And we'll see how that goes, man. We'll see how that goes. I mean, maybe I'm naive. Maybe there are people out there, like way more people than I think, that are willing to spend $1,500 on a console. I would just be surprised, but maybe there's something they know that I don't. Maybe they have like a really robust trade-in program. Maybe that's the secret sauce. Maybe it's like, yes, it's $1,500, or you can trade in your PS5 and we will give you $700 of credit. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the secret sauce. And then they take that, refurbish it, and then sell that through their platform as well. And it plays all the new games as well. It's just you can buy a refurbished one. Maybe that's what they're doing. Get a refurbished PS5 for $700. Maybe that's their brilliant plan. I don't know. But the fact that even with all this stuff, they are still apparently insisting that they are going through with late 2027 launch. That's crazy. Or maybe this is the piece we're missing. Allow me to present option C. Maybe it's just simply that they expect prices to skyrocket again in 2028 so much that waiting to 2028 would also not make sense, because they expect prices to double again. So it's launch it at $1,527 or launch it at $2,000 in 28. Maybe that's what they're worried about. I don't know. Luke, the RAM in my PC costs as much as the Steam machine. Dude, that's baller. That's baller. Where did the picture go? I shared with you guys. Yeah, here it is. I shared with you guys these pictures because I also was wondering. This isn't even the RAM in my main PC. I haven't even checked that. I should, because I think it'd be interesting. But I bought this RAM. In January 14th, 2025. It was for my gaming laptop, okay? Had like 16 gigs. I was like, I'm going to upgrade it to 64. So these are the little DIMMs for laptop memory, okay? I bought in January of 2025. My grand total was $186. The price of the RAM was $174.99. I checked this was what? Let me see. I posted this picture May 27th. So it's probably even more now. But May 27th, when I checked again, that exact same SKU, $717 for 64 gigs of laptop memory. I should have downloaded it. Exactly. Should have. Yeah. It turns out I was a mark. I bought it. Yeah. Oops. What are you going to do? And look who made it. Micron. There you go. Yeah. So I don't even know what memory I have now. Should I try to find out? Let's see. I don't think I can even see. Hold on. Let me get the flashlight. We'll do it live. What is it? DDR5 expert. Oh man. DDR5 128 gigabyte expert white. This looks, oh my God, no way this is accurate. There is no way this is right. This is Micro Center. I want to preface this. I did not pay this. I don't remember exactly when I bought all these components, but I did not pay this. I could literally sell the RAM in my PC and buy a car. That's how much it's gone up. Like what? I had no idea it was that much. Like, I need to get locks on the doors. Man, Jesus Christ. What did I pay? I recall it. I mean, it was a 128 gig pack. I wonder if I could find the receipt. I think it was, I bought it in store in person. And I think it was like 400, 500 maybe. Man, Micro Center receipt. Man, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Is this it? Did I find it? $419. I paid $419. It literally just 10x'd. That's insane, dude. That's outrageous. That breaks my brain. SSD prices are skyrocketing too, by the way. That's I can't believe that. That broke my brain, man. I'm actually like stunned. I'm actually stunned. Wow. At least there's a limit of 2 per household. At least there's that. Jesus Christ, man. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. So anyway, yeah, and this is why the extra bit of it that just is really tricky, because people will come in chat be like, do you think I should buy a gaming PC now? Do you think I should buy a hardware? I remember telling somebody like 3 months ago, I was like, if you need to buy a gaming PC, probably do it now because it's only going to get worse. And dude, literally in that time period, that's probably doubled in price. Because at 2,000, we would have looked at that and been like, that's insane. Now it's 4,000, and it's like there's not even like there's no words for what that is. That's unbelievable. Like, this PC is probably at this point, it's appreciated more than my stock portfolio. I'll tell you what, on a percentage basis, my God, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Take care of your hardware, folks. Take care of your hardware. Do system updates. Dust it. You know, take care of it. My God. Oh my God. Only if you sell Luke? Yeah, exactly. That's the key. That's the key. Yeah, you can sell it, but then what are you going to replace it with? That's the tricky bit. Anyway, so yeah, the moral of the story is everything sucks and it's terrible and we should all just be sad. Okay? Okay. But at least you can type something into Google and it'll give you an AI answer that's usually only a little wrong. So at least we have that. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Dude, YouTube, they started a program where you can like click a button when you upload a video and it will generate an AI thumbnail for you. I have seen a shocking number of people doing it. like a shocking number of YouTubers doing it, where they use the AI generated thumbnail. And it's so, at least to me, it's like really obvious when it's AI generated, but it's like they don't think it's obvious. So they just try to play it off like it's a thumbnail they made or whatever. It's just, I don't like it. But what's funny is that actually like those types of AI generated thumbnails actually tend to perform worse than like handcrafted thumbnails. Which is kind of funny, but I think it reflects that like people have this innate feeling of like slop when they see clearly AI generated crap. They just don't like it. They do not like it. They don't respond well to it. They shut down and don't engage with it, which it makes me proud. Makes me proud. Can we see it? I'm scrolling. I don't see any in my feed because every time I see it, I like click the not interested button because I hate it. But I don't actually see any in my recommended, but I'm sure if you guys scroll through the gaming tab, you'll be able to find them because they're pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious when you see them, unfortunately. Real quick, let me catch up on these and then we'll circle back to something that's actually cool and that you might actually think is also awesome. Yeah. Luke, what do you think they're going to do with Xbox? What will the future look like with all this going down? I think they're just going to majorly overhaul it. I think Xbox is going to slim down a ton. They're not going to be anywhere near as big as they once were. I think they're going to shut down a lot. They're going to spin off a lot. They're going to totally overhaul a ton of it. But I think they'll do that. I think they will also go and seriously reevaluate their hardware opportunities and what they can do there. I think Xbox is going to rely a lot more on third-party manufacturers than first-party. So I think they're going to do the whole like, just like what they do with Windows. They'll have OEMs. They'll go to like Asus and have them manufacture an Xbox, and they won't do it themselves because it's just not their expertise anymore. So I think it'll change a lot. Like I said, I do think we're in the middle of a big hardware crash in gaming and consumer electronics in general, but that is going to reshape the market a lot because at some point it just doesn't make sense. You're not going to sell millions of units of consoles priced at $1,500. I just don't see it happening. I just don't. Like, especially if you can't also then justify like exclusive games to make people want to go out and buy it, because they're not going to want to do that. Because if they have like Intergalactic or if they have Uncharted 5, do they want to launch that on the console that's $1,500 that barely anybody has? Probably not. They're going to want to launch it on the PS5 as well. And then at that point, why are you buying the $1,500 console? You know, I just don't know. I don't know what the solution is other than a lot of stuff. Like, people are going to stop spending money on stuff, and then they're going to have to find some way to course correct and adjust it. And a lot of players will get out of the space until things stabilize, and then they'll come back in like 5 years and there'll be some new startups. But other than that, I don't really know what else they could do. You know, what are you going to do? Sam, thank you for that one. Paying for content already in the game. Oh, I did read that one. Is a paywall? Yes, it is the definition of a paywall for sure. Kakatua, thank you for the 5. Luke, please consult the gaming orb. Oh, I did read that one. Yes, thank you, my friend. That started this whole thing. Cody Lee, thank you for the 5. You think we'll get a surprise update on Elder Scrolls 6 for the 40th Bethesda anniversary? I know, co-parter. I personally don't think so. This is my theory. This is conspiracy theory. There is no evidence. It is purely me making stuff up. To be very clear, there were rumors, whispers, dare I say, of a game, several games actually, but at least one big game that was supposed to be shown at the Xbox showcase that was removed at the last minute. By last minute, we mean in like the final weeks. We're not saying like an hour before, like in the last few weeks. We don't know what that game was. There's reason to think it could be this or it could be that. It could have been Blade or something. Who knows? Who knows? But what if it were Elder Scrolls 6, but Todd wanted to use DLSS 5 for all of the marketing, and after they basically got bullied out of it, he decided, or maybe it was you know, Asha deciding against it, They decided not to do it because we know that Todd really liked DLSS 5, said that it breathed new light into Starfield, or life into Starfield, really helped them accomplish the vision, the original vision. What if their whole goal was to use this for all of the marketing? And then they got bullied out of it when GT or DLSS 5 was received so poorly. I don't know. Just a theory. But I do think it was going to be used a lot more in marketing this year. And after it went over so poorly, they pivoted hard. Because NVIDIA was about to throw so much money at this and push this as like the reason you spend $3,000 on a GPU with them. And everyone hated it. Like, oh my God, did not go over well. Just so uncanny. Dude. It's bizarre. So bizarre. But I really do think that this probably affected some of the trailers and presentations we would have seen this summer and this fall. I think they were going to have used that. And then they decided last minute they had to change approach. So yeah, anyway, that's my conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory. Rams didn't die for this. Exactly. Let's see. Is my gaming room for sale? What do you got for it? What are you gonna offer for it? I do have a lot of stuff in here that is, I probably should offload at some point because I gotta cycle it. There's some older statues that I should retire, or I should put like in a glass case, Excuse me, not enough caffeine in my blood today. My God. Is there any good at all? Yeah, there is something really cool I'm going to show you here in just a second. We're almost there. Robbie, thank you for the 14 months Genshin Impact and the like. Broke equal footing for games. Already you spend more on the gacha. You were way stronger in the game. GTA 6 is inching the scale, I think. I think it's inching the scale. I mean, I will say Genshin gacha games in general, I think because they're free, it changes the dynamic. If GTA 6 were free and then they had like, you get extra shops and stuff if you buy the $20 upgrade or whatever, that I don't think I'd be upset about as much because the game would be free. I think it's because you're already spending $80 and then you got to spend even more to get the full experience. That's why it feels weird. But yeah, the way that those like gacha games handle it is by just making it free. So people are like, I got it for free. Spend 20 hours playing. I'll spend $20 on that. That's basically how it tweaks the brain into doing it. Balloon Slayer, thank you for the 5. Console gaming used to be all about the experiences you can have for $2.99. Today, buying a console for premium price is the experience. And it's kind of turned into a bit of a social status thing where people will like very intentionally put the console in their setup, present it. It's like showcasing that you have it, that you could afford it. And I think that's what they're going to try to do. I think Sony is going to really push for the like Apple vibe, where they're going to want people to like have the PlayStation 6 out on the media center as a statement that like I can afford the premium gaming platform. They're going to really try to own it, I think that's what they're going to try to do. Inevitably, I think it'll turn into a bit of a meme. I agree. Because usually when you try too hard to make something a thing, it doesn't go over well. Usually. Jacob, thank you for that 5. It's simple. It's bad leadership and greed, Luke. I mean, we certainly would not be here. There's a lot of things going on. The RAM crisis was going to happen regardless of what like Xbox or Sony did, because that's outside of them. But the like Xbox layoffs, for example, without a doubt, Xbox imploding is because of Xbox's mistakes with the last like decade of leadership. There's not really another way to spin it. It's pretty clear. Like they would not have to offload studios and lay off hundreds or thousands of people if they knew what they were doing. If they were doing things well. You don't have to do that. You don't see Nintendo doing that, like at least nowhere near to the same degree. They'll restructure stuff, sure, but you aren't hearing stories about them laying off the Mario team. You're not hearing that. So without a doubt, like there's clearly leadership issues. And it happens. Yeah. Bungie is another example of that. Yeah. Bungie is imploding because Bungie screwed up for a decade straight, and then maybe not a decade, 5 years straight, basically. Let's see. Firechild, again, thank you for the 20. With that, thank you so much. It's very generous. Key Rift, out of curiosity, would you say you are religious at all at this point in time? I would say I have opinions and thoughts about it. I try not to get into like politics, religion. I try not to cook on stream. Mainly, it's just like I view my role as talking about games, and I figure if somebody listens to a gaming YouTuber talk about religion or politics, dumber than a dummy. Like, nobody should care what I think about religion. You know, what do I know? Like, you should not care. You know, if we go out and get a drink at a bar, yeah, let's talk it out. Let's go for it. But in the context of like talking about video games and like streaming game stuff, I'm not that interested. Yeah, like Faithful Sheriff. Exactly. I try to stay in my lane, you know. Anyway. Dimitri, thank you for that. Super chat. If I want to build PC around November, is there a chance the price will go up? Will go up till then, or should I buy now? I don't know about November specifically, but I will say that prices seem to just be going up increasingly, and it will continue to go up through at least next year. So I think, as hard as it is to say, if you really need a PC, it's probably going to be more expensive in 6 months. That's what seems to be the case. But, you know, if you're willing to buy used, if you're willing to buy refurbished components and stuff, you can save money that way. That might be a good option, you know. Let's see. Multi good kid, thank you for the 5. I feel like I feel we are like the people who witnessed the change of lobsters from a peasant dish to luxury, never going back to a reasonably priced RAM and GPUs. I've never heard that brought up in the context of gaming, but yeah, the like shift between from it going from like a peasant dish to an aristocratic higher class dish. That is interesting. It's the same thing with like ratatouille. People think ratatouille is like this very fancy dish you get in fancy like restaurants in France, when in reality it's like, no, I mean, it's just kind of like, take a bunch of veggies, throw them in a stew, basically, like as they even talk about in the film Ratatouille. It's a peasant dish. It's like a farmer's dish. It's not a fancy thing, but at some point it shifts and becomes fancy. Maybe gaming is the lobster ratatouille. Caviar too. Yeah, caviar. I feel like there was another one. I mean, you could even say it's stuff like, you know, fishing being like a luxury pastime. A lot of people for a long time did it just to survive, and now it's like a luxury pastime. Not even, maybe not luxury pastime, but a pastime, you know. I don't know. That could be it. A ram is the lobster of gaming. Yeah, we took it for granted, and now it's a big deal. Oysters, fresh vegetables. Yeah, I could see that. It's also things like, you know, the color purple or certain dyes. Like for centuries, the only way you could have that color on your clothes was if you had access to this dye that was imported from someplace across the planet. So if you saw somebody wearing purple, it was like a symbol of incredible wealth and stuff. And then we figured out how to synthesize it, and now it's just like on a t-shirt. You know, it's like no big deal at all. Nobody cares. Indigo. Yes. Blue is one. Yeah, we're tracking. Let's see. Wallet the Great, thank you for that one. Crazy Microsoft was the catalyst for the Rampocalypse. The PC I paid for 2 months ago is up now $1,200 from $2,600 to $3,800. Hopefully game optimization gets better for people with lower end hardware. Yeah, I hope optimization is one aspect of it, but I also think that we'll see with the next gen of consoles, there's going to be a huge push for new like file size compression tech, and that's going to be the big thing. Because no joke, I would not be surprised if next gen consoles, the base model has like 256 gigs or something, or like 128 gigs of storage. It's going to be like laughably low compared to what we're used to, but they'll say it's better because now they can compress the game down to like 20 gigs as opposed to like 80. I think they're going to try to do that because that's also the storage is part of where the expense is coming from. So if they can ship it with 128 instead of 500 or a terabyte, they can save a lot of money and not price it as high. That's at least the idea. Yeah. The Dot Center, thank you for that 10. Very generous. Hey, Luke, I found a pretty awesome clip on YouTube that I think you should check out called The Best Advice Ever for Game Developers by Swapfire. Thank you for the suggestion. I'll open another tab. I am not sure we'll get to it today because I am desperately trying to stay focused and I'm failing. But I have that pulled up in another tab. We can circle back to it. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Much love. That's why I started saving $50 a week for PC part emergencies. Probably smart, Scott. Probably smart. You just never know. I thought my PC was doing great, and then one day I hit the power button and it started smoking out the top. Oops. Turns out there was like some 1 in a million, whatever the hell, I don't even know, with one of the NVMe SSDs I had in the PC. Completely fried it, fried all of the hard drives in the computer that I had for storing gameplay clips and stuff when I was making critiques and reviews. Lost a couple of videos worth of content that way. And it just happened from pressing the power button one day. Just a 1 in a million, whatever the hell. You know, that's how it works though. Calvin, thank you for the 2 as well. Have you seen Paul Tassi's new Destiny article? I have not. I did hear him mention that it seems like most of the protests have not been effective. So, but I just Googled it. Looks like 2 Sentence Insider report on why Destiny 2 died. It looks like let's see. The simple, still maddening explanation for why Destiny 2 died is the following, quote, because of the enormous scale of content that had to be produced nonstop lest fans revolt against its scarcity, Destiny was only very rarely profitable during its entire lifespan. When Destiny was profitable, those extra funds were often immediately misused by leadership at the time, funneled into way too many simultaneous incubation projects or ideas like spending tens of millions of dollars on a new unneeded 208,000 square foot headquarters. Golly, man. Golly. I will say, I have been to their headquarters and I would say unneeded is probably fair. Bungie HQ. It is crazy. Like, it's beautiful, but like, no joke, it's like sci-fi. And it's in a skyscraper and it's got like 40-foot ceilings everywhere. Where's an example of it? Like, it is so extra. It is so extra. It's wild. There's not a lot of like pictures from inside for obvious reasons, like security is a concern, but it's a beautiful space, but it's definitely a space they did not need. Have you ever seen like Kojima Production Studio pictures? Studio. Like it looks very clean and like it's a nice place to work, but it's just like cubicles. Like, as far as you can see, like, this is their studio. They're not doing anything insane. They're not putting like the Google offices where they have a swirly slide going down to the lobby. Like, they just, no, we're here to work. Put you next to your coworker and you're just going to do what you got to do. And that's what we're doing. Like, it's just very, very functional, you know. That is not how it works at a lot of these companies. I'll tell you what. Anyway, that is, I mean, that makes sense. It's wild to hear that like Destiny, which is a huge franchise and game, to hear that it was basically very, very rarely profitable at all. That is crazy. It's crazy. Kyle, thank you for the 5. Housing and groceries prices rise. Are we possibly in a recession? Game prices skyrocket. Oh my God, we're in a recession. Yeah, well, that's why this whole thing is crazy. The definition of a recession, I believe, is 2 simultaneous quarters of GDP contraction. So yeah, significant widespread decline in economic activity lasts more than a few months. It's normal part of the business cycle. It's typically characterized by dropping gross domestic product or GDP, rising unemployment, shrinking retail sales, failing and falling personal income. What's bizarre though is that unemployment's not really rising. Retail sales are not really shrinking. People are still spending a lot of money. It seems like it's mainly people at the top are spending more. People at the bottom are spending less, but it levels out to be about the same. And then falling personal income. It's not falling, but inflation is making it feel like it's falling because things are more expensive, right? But because so much money is just being thrown into AI stuff, we are not technically in a recession, even though for everyday people, you're in a recession. I'm just a messenger. I'm just saying it. Okay. Don't get mad at me. Don't be mad at me. I'm just telling you. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, I'm just saying. It's like, well, technically, your income has not fallen. It's like, but I was able to afford my grocery bill and now I can't. What does that sound like to you? Like, you know, I can't stand when you get like one of the financial analysts on like one of these TV shows and they're like, well, technically income has stayed the same. It's like, yes, but with inflation, it's plummeted. And people are like, well, but technically. I was like, shut up, technically. Like, what are we doing? Drives you crazy. Anyway. Let me show you something cool. New mini segment of something cool. You may not care about it. I think it's cool though, so I'm going to show it to you anyways. That's how we all feel. I saw this come from... How do I want to lead into this? I should probably figure out before I start talking. Here it was. I saw a tweet, as all great stories start off with, from Synth Potato, and he pointed out a website that has been made by a bunch of GTA 6 fans that is actually legitimately really cool. You see, as you may have heard, there are people who have a lot of free time, spare time, and they use it to do things like what I'm about to show you. This website is called State of Leonida, okay? map.stateofleonida.net. That's how you can access it yourself. When you go here, you may notice that there is the mapping project's estimated GTA 6 map displayed. This is what they've estimated it will look like based on trailer shots, screen grabs, stuff like that. They do a lot of crazy math, triangulation, trigonometry, and things like that to figure out what the map is going to look like. And dude, they are regularly very accurate. It's like actually insane, okay? What is cool about this website, though, specifically in what they've done, as you can see, they have different symbols here. Different symbols for different trailers, artwork, leaked information, and screenshots. They have these things: buildings, red that are unconfirmed, gray confirmed, confirmed with speculative location, unconfirmed shape, confirmed shape. They have all of these things outlined so that you can go through and figure out what you're looking at. And then these are the amazingly brilliant people with a lot of free time that have done this together on their Discord. What do you actually do on this website though? Well, look at this. Let's say I want to look here in Vice City. I want to scroll in. What's here? As I scroll in, you can see that it's dynamically changing to individual little buildings. I can click on these buildings and it will show me the in-game representation of that building as grabbed in trailer screenshots or wherever else, and then the real life version of it that they have gone and collected screen grabs of. Like, what? This one, tennis court. As you can see, grabbed in this trailer, okay? You can find the real version of it. Like, oh, baby. This one, the Vice-Dale County, it's like a monument, a memorial. You can see it's very briefly in this one. I think this is when they're riding on the like jet ski. You just very briefly see it. And this is the actual depiction of it. And this is true as you go through the entire thing. As we go over here, you can see this. You might recognize this from the legend on the left side. But this is an actual snippet where we got the famous trailer footage as it swoops in. This is where they've mapped that to approximately be. This one too, America's, this is one of the leaks where there was a shot from that angle, and they have it coordinated there, so that you can see roughly where it is. This building, as you can see, Vice Beach, it's like some sort of hotel. They don't know exactly what it's going to be called, but as you can see the picture, and then they have the real life version of it. Okay. Even down to the spire being the same. Okay. So as you go through this, you'll be just amazed at how many different things are outlined. How many like individual restaurants, individual like buildings that are used for all sorts of different things that have been collected. And it also, what I find like really interesting in this is like the idea of how do you make a trailer for a game, right? We got to find some way of making a trailer to promote this game we've been working on, GTA 6. What they do, and I just met one of the guys that works here, that works in this field. I met somebody in Singapore who works as a like, I forget his exact title, but like capture artist basically for making trailers. And so his job is that he's assigned to go and prep the trailer and to collect footage and gameplay screenshots and gameplay footage to cut into those trailers. They work with some editors and then like a director to actually make the trailer and all that. But what I find interesting is that you can go through this map and you can actually see where they went and loaded in to capture those shots. So you can see here, the drive-by shooting. They've mapped this using the picture of the sign on the side of it to figure out where that is. Turns out it's right here next to some of the other buildings that have real life signs that match the background of that screen grab. So they can figure out, oh, that shot where this sign is in the edge is the same as that building. Attention to detail, my friends. It's crazy. But you can see they captured that. This screenshot is taken in the same spot. This right here is one of the leaks that we had of that particular area. They're not going to show it here for obvious reasons because just to say the quiet part out loud, Rockstar will nuke this into the ground if they get a whiff of like a leak being shared here. So they are just not going to show it, but they put the tagline on so if you happen to have a bucket of the leaks, you could see what they're referring to. This same shot here is in the same area. This one also shows like one of the buildings that, this shows one of the same buildings that's on the beach as well. You can see it just in the corner of one of these shots. This one, Ocean View Hotel, also shown in the trailers. So you can start to see how all of this kind of ties together. But what I find really particularly interesting is as you go through this, you can probably start to feel out which areas of the game they polished first and which areas of the game they had ready to show first. Because a lot of these trailer shots come from the same batch and the same areas. So this was probably an area they had spent a lot of time finishing up and polishing and getting looking like really, really good. And then other areas that have had less time spent on them or that aren't as ready for prime time don't get shown as clearly. So like here you can see they showed this spot. They've actually routed, again, based on the buildings in the background, these towers, the Peacock Bay, Coconut Grove, whatever, these towers, they can actually see those in the corner of this shot from the trailer and figure out, oh, he's on the highway next to it. Here we go. This is where it is. The planes are taking off, which makes sense because the airport is right here. Again, it all just starts to line up. It's very cool. Others, as you'll see, there are areas of this which are much more mysterious and we just don't know much about. So you can see here, like there's grass rivers. Here there's areas where like they have research center. This is what they're working with. Who knows? They have a lot of other little tidbits like the beach. This is just one that they expect. This is unconfirmed, but this is of course kind of an iconic thing in real life. And so it's probably going to be depicted here in the game somewhere in this general area. So there's a lot of areas of speculation as well that just are not as well represented. But it still is very interesting to see all of this effort that's gone into this. And I just find it really impressive. It's very, very cool. Okay. Now, the biggest question mark with the GTA 6 mapping project and everything that they have right now is the north part of the map. For a long time, this was expected to be the panhandle. So it was expected that this part of the map would extend all the way out here and would effectively give you the broad shape of Florida. That now is not expected to be in the game. They're actually rounding it off. But pretty much all of this is pure speculation. there are basically no camera angles that show what is over here. We don't know. There's no reason to think that we actually have a firm idea. There are certain things that you would expect to find over here, like Mount Leonida, as you can see in a couple of shots, like this one, where you can like infer, okay, we have this shot from the trailer or from a screenshot, so this is probably on the mountain. So maybe you can start to figure out, okay, this is shot back towards, you can see they actually have the camera angle. It's estimated it's shooting back this way in that shot. So you can start to kind of see like long sight lines. There's the beach again, there's the highway and the bridge, but we just don't know what's behind it. We don't know any of this. They estimate that it's probably this cloud covered area, the real life version of which is Mount Calaga, or that they're depicted with Mount Calaga. It's probably this, but we just don't know. That's the big question mark. But as for like the city itself, it'll blow you away just again, how much detail, how much energy has been put into all of these little things. Individual shots like this one. They figured out which square, like which intersection this probably is taking place in. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But that's the attention to detail. Same thing over here. You can see all of these different camera angles and all these different shots that are estimated to be in this area. All this stuff, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. But again, it just goes to show you, they probably did a lot of polish in this area. They probably did a lot of polish in this area because there's a number of screen grabs and shots in this area. A bunch on the beach over here, but there's large areas that we still don't know much about at all that are huge question marks that we're going to find out eventually. But we just don't know. As you can see here, Waning Sands. With this one, they're using very, very blurry pictures to estimate it, but that's how they do it, man. That's how they do it. It's really cool. It's really cool. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because I find it really, really fascinating. And I think it's such a cool collaborative thing to see the community coming together and doing this. And again, they've done this with like Red Dead. They did this with GTA 5. And it's always amazing how accurate their estimations are. Like, it's actually shocking. It's crazy. But we'll see how close it is and how accurate it is. Like they said, they do have some areas of this that they are very confident in. So as for like these different things, they have rough estimations of elevation based on all of that. Community names for different things, as you can see. So if it's in parentheses, that's the real world name. If it's just written, that's the actual confirmed location and in-game name. If it's in quotation marks, that's a community name. This one is just, if it's red, it's speculative locations like Yorktown, for example, or some of these other areas. But it's just really cool to see how they've done this, and it's just very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. And I we're going to keep following it because there's always more updates. And just imagine what more info they'll get when they get like a trailer number 3. Who knows, man? Who knows? I will say though, I've seen some tweets and like people posting being like, I just don't understand the marketing approach for GTA 6. They still haven't dropped another trailer. Dude, the fact that we are still talking about it and still blown away by these details is proof positive that they really don't need to do much of anything. They really don't. Like, they really, really don't. It's crazy. Map looks small. Well, let me show you, my friend. Let me show you. Because as they've done all this map, they have rough estimations of the total, like, square miles or square kilometers that it's expected to use. And actually, oh, look, Trevor cut this together. Look at this. Look at this. Who's this? How do I go full screen? Be bigger than Crimson Desert. So Crimson Deserts was considered to be larger than Red Dead 2's map and twice the size of Skyrim's overworld. I think this is the comparison that the mappers made. This is their current estimated map for GTA 6 versus Red Dead 2. This is Red Dead. This is GTA 6. Based on the current mapping project. All of this is subject to change up here, but all the rest of this, they are pretty confident is what it looks like. So that's roughly what we're looking at. Crimson Desert was just a tad bigger than Red Dead 2's map. So yeah, GTA 6 is going to be bigger than Crimson Desert's map, almost without a doubt. I mean, it's not even. I don't think it's in the same ballpark. That's roughly what we're talking about. Same shirt. Hell yeah, yeah. No, I swear I change. I just, my wife kind of makes fun of me because when I find a type of shirt that I like, I'll just buy like 4 or 5 of them. And I'm like, yeah, now I can just use like, why would I need to swap shirts constantly? So I have like 2 or 3 of these colors, and then I have a bunch more in different colors that I swap between. But yeah, every once in a while it lines up again. That's funny. I didn't notice, but yeah, sure enough, there you go. Yeah, it doesn't shower, wears the same shirt. It's like I saw one person that like I theorized that the Asmongold is actually like a neat freak, and he's playing a character, and he just has a whole closet of those white shirts that all look the same. Swaps between them, goes into hair and makeup every morning before stream and stuff. It's like same kind of thing. It's just a costume. It's a costume I swap out. Just swap them out. Map density is more important than map size. Yes, well, and this is why it's also important to stress that, like, as we talk about this, Crimson Desert's map is massive, and there's a lot in there for sure. But it also is not a dense urban city. There are cities in it, but it's not itself like it doesn't have a massive city like Vice City, and neither does Red Dead 2. It's very open and spread out. So if Red Dead 2 is estimated to be this map or this big, and you know Saint Denis is down here, I mean that is a block. Like that's a tiny chunk of Vice City and what we know that they've built. So I understand people look at this and are like, where is it? I understand people look at this and initially it feels small. I think the biggest thing that makes it feel small is just that the airport looks really big, and so it just feels comparatively very small. But I'm telling you, this does not do it justice compared to what it's going to be. And all of this stuff is just blank, but there's probably stuff out here as well. Little towns, little places to find, like there's almost certainly a lot more stuff, but this is, it may look small in the pictures and like how thick the streets are and stuff, but it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Where's the military base supposed to be? We don't know. It could be up here. We just don't know. You never know. Let's see. Not locked. Thank you for that 5. I impulsively bought a PS5 Pro and the 5070 Ti last year before the price increases. I was made fun of by my coworkers, but who's laughing now? Exactly, my friend, exactly. Sometimes having a spending problem works out in our favor. That's what I've been relying on. Zenzo, thank you for the 10. Games take 10 years now rather than 2. Is it just that there are bigger and dev teams are more disorganized today? Not saying rush, but the dev team, but the dev cycle seems to hurt more than help. And I don't know the fix. I think a lot of people are asking that question and trying to figure it out themselves, Zenzo. I think a lot of very, very powerful people are trying to figure out that answer. Because if they can figure out how to make a GTA 6 in 4 years, they'll do that. If they can figure out how to make, I mean, literally anything, whether it's like Elder Scrolls 6 or Witcher 4, if they can figure out how to make those games faster, but at the same quality level, they'll do it, because that's such a huge competitive edge that will represent an unbelievable amount of profit. It's just really hard. The problem is that games nowadays are just way, way, way more complicated than they've ever been before. And expectations are also way higher. And I would argue the expectations are higher because people are charged more money for those games than ever before. But adjusted for inflation, look, I get it. Adjusted for inflation, maybe not. But effectively, people feel like they're being charged more than they ever have been before for games, and so their expectations rise, and so you have to then spend more time, money, and effort building the game out so it meets those expectations, and so it just creates this loop that just makes the problem worse. It's why I think the best thing for a lot of these games to do is actually cut scope, like Mafia: The Old Country, go AA scale, cut features, cut things you don't really need. You don't need characters to swim. You don't need airplanes in the game. You don't need to let the player character enter every building. You don't need that stuff. Focus on what the point of the game is. Like, do that, and then you can go and fill in the gaps where you have extra time and resources. But go a little tighter, and importantly, do not charge full AAA price, which Mafia didn't, and I think it helped it a lot. I think that's the key. Cut scope, cut the price, focus on what you actually think is like crucial for the game, profit. Because that's what we've seen. Like Take-Two, same guys behind GTA 6, they're behind Mafia the Old Country, and they said that it was a smashing success. They said it was a tremendous success for them, and it showed their thesis true, that if you just provide a high quality story that is lean and is exactly what it needs to be to deliver its message and tell its story, you can have amazing success if you price it aggressively, which is what they did. You know, that's what you need. But you need swimming. Oh my God. Yeah, agreed, Luke. Focus on one or two great aspects rather than trying to be all things to all people. Yeah, and when people fall in love with the game, they'll play defense for it on social media, because inevitably you'll have the people that are like, but it's bad because you can't swim. And then, like, when people connect with the game, they'll make fun of those people for being stupid. And then it'll level out, you know? Yeah, where's the mold, though? Exactly, that's the question. Let's see. Hello, PDM. Thank you for the 10. This all makes me think the long term of... Oh, whoops, it scrolled too far. Oh, my God, where'd it go? This all makes me think the long term of gaming is cloud gaming. Not saying I like it, but if consumers eventually get priced out of hardware, cloud gaming doesn't seem that bad as an alternative. Well, and I think that's what's going to be the push. It's just going to be a matter of whether... For one, gamers are interested, and two, whether gamers are capable. I don't personally know what it's like in like Europe, so I would like to hear your thoughts. I do know for a fact, though, that in the US, our infrastructure is not capable of that. Like at all. I think, you know, some people have fiber internet and gigabit with low latency, and they probably could. They have good high quality routers that also could provide that experience to them. Most people that live, especially in like the heartland of the US, that live, I mean, it's all over the place. Like Florida has problems with infrastructure. California definitely does. Like, it's not that simple. I stayed in like a very nice hotel in Los Angeles recently. They had their top tier business class internet was 1.5 megabit per second up and down. You could not stream a 360p video from their Wi-Fi. And you're telling me that you're going to try to get everybody in these big cities and everybody across the country to cloud stream their games? I'm not sure if that works. You know, I'm not sure that works. So I think it's easier said than done. And what it seems like to me is one of those situations where it's like the tech executive who is in the skyscraper and has 10 gigabit Ethernet to his laptop for sending emails. And he's like, no, my internet's amazing. This is amazing tech. Everybody should do this. Let's make that. But the point is, it is not that way for everybody else. I think it's one of those things that's really easy to say and recommend when you're in your bubble and you don't know what it's like. Like, you're kind of out of touch, basically. I think that's where it is. It's really easy to say cloud stream your games to people when you have amazing internet. A lot of people don't have amazing internet, though. Yeah. Orc, thank you for that. Have you seen the Cyberpunk Edge Runner Season 2 trailer? It just dropped, didn't it? I think it dropped like right as I went live or right before I went live. I have not watched it yet. I was going to pull it up impulsively on stream, but then I was like, no, they're going to copyright strike everything. So I will watch it right after stream, but I have not seen it yet. I have not. Does it look good? I honestly don't know. I don't know. Chitty Chatty, I don't know why it held your message. All you said was very, very passionately, you proclaimed, suck me. And it held your message for sex-based terms. Sometimes Twitch chat is such a buzzkill, man. That's a very nice message. An invitation, as it were. And Twitch holds it. What are we doing? What are we doing? It's unbelievable. Look at the rest of them. I mean, these are also like, I think they're largely kind messages. Oh man. I do think it's funny. My brother took my phone. I'm sorry. Your brother seems like he needs attention. I would maybe take a moment, go for a walk with him. So I think he needs to get out. The account's made 19 hours ago. I think this is just the new I think this is just what he does. CZM, thank you for the Prime sub over there. Thank you, my friend. And also thank you, the Clubonite, for the sub over on Twitch as well, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. So full of love. Exactly. Nothing but love. Let's see. Leo, thank you for that one. Demand increases, prices go up. Production incentivized, capacities increase, supply increases, prices go down. Exactly. The difficulty here is that it's just the timeline. Like, that will eventually happen, but it probably takes 2.5, 3 years. And that's what sucks, is that there's not really a way of dealing with it. And it's happening right at the cusp of the next generation kicking off. And that's why it just, like, again, it just kind of sucks. Batman, thank you for the 5. Do you think there's a way for Xbox to create an overclock mode for Xbox Series X to get close to the level of the PS5 Pro? No, I don't think so. My understanding is it's just not that simple. And overclocking, just as with PC stuff, it's dangerous. Like, the increasing voltage on anything really puts a strain on the components. It puts a strain on cooler, like the cooler and cooling components. It's just risky business. So there's stuff that they could do, where they like add in a firmware update that does maybe crank up the CPU, crank up the GPU a little bit, but you're playing with fire with that stuff. It's just not that simple. Leo Breaker, thank you for the 5 as well. Luke, I have a PS5 and SD or I'm assuming Steam Deck and Switch 2. I want a PC for next gen. Do I cross my fingers that Sony will have games for PlayStation 6 also for PS5 for a few years? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just do not see a world in which they launch a $1,200 to $1,500 console and then make games exclusive to that in the first year. I just don't see it. I think they'll do like what they did with the PS5, where they'll have maybe 1 or 2 smaller, cheaper games, but the big budget stuff, they'll have cross-generational. I think that's what they're doing. That's what I think. Let's see. I'm almost caught up, guys. I'm sorry. Do you think there's a way for Xbox? Oh, I just read that one. Like Donkey said, Xbox lost to PlayStation Concord Zero. What are they doing? Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. They lost to the version of PlayStation that pushed out Concord, greenlit Fair Game $, Horizon Hunters Gathering, bought Bungie for $4 billion. Like, they're losing to those guys. So I'm not that confident that they'll just magically figure it out quickly, but we'll see. Weed Connoisseur, thank you for the 5 and for being here. I was starting to realize after Rockstar took away discs that GameStop might have been the lesser evil. Yeah, everyone, we all hated GameStop, but now that they're kind of dying out, it's kind of sad, and you realize, oh, maybe getting $2 for my $60 copy of a game was the necessary evil. Maybe it was worth it. I don't know. Thank you again, the Dot Center, for the recommendation on the video. CB Epic, thank you for that too. Do you think, or did you check out who's coming in season 9 and season 10 of Rivals? I have not seen who's coming. I should look that up. Thank you for letting me know. I will pull that up in another tab, as is tradition. What do you think GTA 5 or GTA 6 pre-sales are? I know some places are saying 40 million, but I don't believe that. I'm sure it's in the millions for sure. But I think it's probably like 5 to 10 million. A lot of the people I know who will be playing it have not pre-ordered it because it's still so far out. So they're like, I'll do it closer. So I don't think that it's like, I saw somebody say 35 million copies have already been pre-ordered, and I was like, I don't know about that, man. They'll probably tell us at the next earnings call, but I don't believe the 35 million thing or 40 million. I just don't see that. I thought you said unemployment wasn't rising. It says on. I'm not sure what that's a reference to. It was when we were talking about the recession stuff. I think that the difficulty with any sort of unemployment stat nowadays is that the unemployment stats are issued and then they are revised like 3 quarters later. 1 to 3 quarters later. And so you never really know what the true stat is because they kind of guess with it and then they revise it later. Maybe the mapping. Oh, that's okay. So it's a joke. That's funny, On. That's good. Because I was saying the people that did this have a lot of free time on their hands. And then you said, I thought you said unemployment wasn't right. I see. Sorry to explain the joke. It went right over my head. Oops. Oops. I still thought it was funny. Jesus. Let's see. G1, thank you for the 5 as well. For that, excited about AC Black Flag Resynced. When does the embargo for reviews drop? Do you have a copy early to review? I always watch your talks with Jory about Assassin's Creed. Thank you, my friend. And I don't know. What? I've never heard of it. Never heard of it. That is all I will say. That is all I will say. Thank you for the super chat. Very convincing. I don't know what you would need to be convinced about. I just said I said what I said. So there you go. You heard me. You heard me. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Francisco says, insane to me that Dragon's Dogma 2 is getting DLC. I was hoping and coping, and then it shows up for the Nintendo Direct. I knew buying it 6 times would pay off. Doing the Lord's work. Yeah, I was honestly surprised to see it too, but hey, I mean, it's sold, I think, pretty well, I think, and hopefully they've overhauled it, like, gotten the performance better. It just ran like crap. That was the sucky thing, is it just ran like crap. I liked the game. It just, every time you go in a city, it would drop to like 20 frames. Internet of Games, thank you for the 2 as well. Green Truck, Gloriana Plate, One-Eyed Willie Shop. One-Eyed Willie Shop, indeed. Indeed, my friend, indeed. Also, Star Scream Re, thank you for the 5. Just joined. Have you talked about Xbox reportedly ceasing signing any more Game Pass contracts with third-party studios? We've not talked about it yet, and I'm not sure if we will have time, but I will try. Yeah, we'll see. We do have an article on it. I'll catch up on these, and then we can do that. Thank you for letting me know and reminding me, Star. And then also the Throbbing at 37 Pakistani American. Something I never thought I would say out loud. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Rumor that GTA 6 will be 30 FPS locked at launch. I know that's a rumor. I would not find that shocking at all. Anybody who thinks it's going to run at 60, I think, is setting themselves up for massive disappointment. I would be shocked if there's any version of it that runs above 30. Not saying I like it. Just saying. Where did it go? Here it is. I had the wrong article pulled up. Okay. New segment. Thank you, Starscream Re, with a $5 super chat. Just joined. Have you talked about Xbox reportedly ceasing signing any more Game Pass contracts with third-party studios? We've not yet, but this is as good a time as any. Is Xbox freezing third-party Game Pass deals? Here's what's being said and why I don't buy it, says Jez Corden of Windows Central. Now, first things first, Windows Central is a Windows website. Windows is Microsoft. Microsoft is Xbox. This is not totally like, this is I don't want to say like friendly territory because that sounds overly dismissive than what I want. But like Jez has connections within Microsoft, and so I think that's just important to disclose at the outset. A report came out though, suggesting that Microsoft was freezing money for new third-party Game Pass deals, basically saying that, if Ubisoft wants to put one of their games on the platform, now Microsoft is not going to entertain that. That's at least what the rumor is at this point. So as you can see, this initially started from Insider Gaming. They had a report that was mentioning this. It was recently claimed that Xbox is pausing or at least slowing down deals with third-party developers tied to the Game Pass subscription service. This latest revelation comes following a couple of weeks of bad press for Xbox, punctuated by layoffs, price increases, and difficult discussions around the future of the ecosystem. Specifically, what was mentioned, as you can see through here, they kind of break all this down. He stated they recently attended a trade show, and while their folks were chin-wagging about Game Pass deals, and some volatile terms were thrown around, including rug pull, kaboshed, and on pause. I don't think I've ever seen that written out. That's crazy. The quote was, quote, "I was at a trade show in Italy and had some nice lunches, some nice dinners with industry colleagues. Word on the street was that loads of people who were in the frame for Game Pass deals, you know, nothing was inked yet, but the deals were in advanced discussions. Everyone, or everybody, got the rug pulled out from under them." And this specifically was Shams Jorjani, maybe, the CEO of Arrowhead, hosted by Fernando Rezo of Caboodle Games. And this is what they talked about. Now, I will say the trade shows, lunches, dinners, that's where you find out the real tea. That's where you find out the real dirt about the industry. Because it's people that are just chatting and having conversations, and they will let you know stuff that it will eventually hit the presses. But that's where you find out really, really cool stuff. So I totally buy that if he was going to hear about some of this stuff, you might hear about it over lunch at one of those events. When somebody that works at a studio just off the cuff mentions that. Yeah, well, our stuff got pulled. And yeah, our stuff got pulled too. And it's just starts to build. Now, what Jez says is the following. "I'm not doubting the idea that Microsoft canceled discussions, but it has been used to frame an idea that Xbox is done completely with third-party deals for Xbox Game Pass." I mean, not really. The way that it's described, it says it's pausing or at least slowing down. Which, I mean, this also would indicate at the very least a slowdown. And it also makes sense if Xbox is truly in a financially dire strait that they would probably pump the brakes before signing new stuff while they get their ducks in a row. So I don't think it necessarily means that they're completely done. I think it, like they said, it could just be indicative of slowing down. But anyway, right now, Xbox is undergoing something of a reset with new CEO Asha Sharma and CSO Matthew Ball reviewing practically every corner of the business, including deals like the above. Microsoft's fiscal year is ending too, where budgets will be allocated or reallocated. Microsoft is exploring closing down an entire studio at Xbox as part of this review, so it stands to reason that some ID at Xbox deals might have been skewered in the crossfire. I know of at least one example of a third-party Game Pass deal that didn't go through as a direct result of July re-budgeting. As you can see, Idle Sloth tweeted, Xbox is reportedly suspending adding third-party games on Xbox Game Pass. Multiple independent developers have confirmed during the first playable, that's just what we read before. This says it originates from Xstasis, who has a history of sharing debunked rumors, but they're saying it started from the CEO of Arrowhead. From this. Are they saying that Xstasis hosts the podcast and therefore what the CEO of Arrowhead said? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If they're saying that it wasn't the CEO of Arrowhead and it's just a made up quote, that's one thing. But if they're saying that it's debunked because it was shared by Xstasis, but it's a quote from the CEO of Arrowhead, I mean, I don't see how that dismisses the claim. But anyway, from somebody who works in publishing it's loading, who has had games in Game Pass, won't say more. This isn't even remotely true. Crazy thing to spread, says Darkest Ducrest. I'm not sure who that is, but says that he's put games on Game Pass with Shoreline Games. I'm not familiar. I'm sure they're great games. I'm just not familiar with that studio. I think with all this, let's see, they continue on, but that doesn't mean they're done with Game Pass deals forever. Indeed, at least one industry publishing figure, Stephen Ducrest, poured cold water on the rumors earlier, saying it wasn't remotely true. Even if some, I mean, also, like, is he gonna be privy to the deals that are being made at every studio? I don't understand how that makes sense, but okay. Even if some deals have fallen through, I would expect as soon as next week or the week after when Microsoft's next fiscal year starts, discussions for funding will immediately resume. The bottom line is simple. Xbox Game Pass needs content in order to operate. The Xbox rumored to be gutting first-party content, I expect, or with them rumored to be getting first-party content, I expect it to lean more into third-party deals rather than less. But hey, Microsoft works in mysterious ways, as we all know. Either way, I've reached out to Microsoft and other sources to get some firm clarification, but wanted to clarify some thoughts ahead of that. I'll update this article with more info soon. And there has since been no clarification since then. He put it out, and that's where we are. Now, of course, we're talking about rumors. It's literally he said, she said. It's the CEO of Arrowhead saying, allegedly, that he's at dinner and at lunch talking with people and that this is spreading and could indicate a strategic shift for them. To me, I don't really understand what the big controversy with the discourse is. It kind of makes sense to me if they are financially in a really bad spot it makes sense that they would pump the brakes before like deciding to do anything else. Like, hey, we might still do a deal later this year. We're going to pump the brakes while we get our ducks in a row, and then we'll come back and we'll figure it out. That makes sense to me. I don't know why people would then conclude that therefore Xbox is going to completely stop doing deals with third-party publishers. I mean, I guess some people might jump on that and like try to console war about it. Maybe that's where this is starting. But to me, it just makes sense. Like, they have no money. They need to figure out better ways to spend money. So they are reevaluating their options. I mean, that makes sense to me, but maybe there's another piece of it. Let's see. Let's see. Talk Shield, thank you for that. Please watch the Unleash Avatar gameplay trailer. Thank you for the suggestion. I am almost out of time. I will open it in another tab because I know somebody asked about it previously. Maybe it was you on another stream, and we also ran out of time there. But maybe we circle back to it. Thank you for the suggestion, my friend. Thank you. And then Sly Far, thank you for that one. Thoughts on the Beast of Reincarnation preview? It looks better than it did before. I wasn't that into it before, but after seeing that gameplay, I thought, oh, maybe this could be cool. Could be cool. I have to dig into it more. And then Throbbing, thank you also for the 2. It'd be a miracle if GTA 6 pulls off 40 FPS on the PS5 Pro. Yeah, I'm just expecting 30 and maybe unlocked on the Pro, but that's kind of my expectation. Anyway, so going back just to wrap up this stuff. A lot of people want a clear answer for Xbox. They want a clear direction. They want to understand what's happening. And the truth of the matter is that Xbox, I think, is actively figuring out what that is. They're actively laying people off, restructuring, redoing budgets. They're trying to untangle a pretty big mess. So I don't think there is a clear answer. I think they're figuring it out themselves. And that's just frustrating for the fans and for the customers because they don't know what like the direction is. And it's because nobody knows. So I think that they'll pause doing any sort of green lighting of any budgets. Like, I don't think Microsoft is green lighting any projects right now unless it's like Elder Scrolls or Fallout related. I don't think they're green lighting anything unless it's a lock and loaded, easy, obvious success. Anything else is fair game to be cut, reevaluated, shuffled, delayed, whatever. And that includes third-party publishing deals. And it might mean that also, like, they go back and they renegotiate stuff. It could be that, like, all of those EA games they have on the platform, maybe they reevaluate that and they go, actually, we can't pay you as much for those. So if you want to keep them on, great, we got to pay you less. Stuff like that's going to happen. And maybe as part of those negotiations, stuff gets pulled for a week and then put back on for a week and then pulled again while negotiations are falling apart. Then they figure it out and it's on forever. Like, I think that this is just what happens when a company is in really bad financial straits and they got to figure out a way to untangle it. Anybody who's like running with this saying, boom, no third party stuff ever again, that obviously is ridiculous. But I also don't find this quotation from again, the CEO of Arrowhead, I don't find any of this to be particularly surprising. Like, it just makes sense to me that, like, yeah, they're in a bad financial spot. They're probably pausing any sort of green lighting of anything until they know what the deal is. Like, I just don't know why this would be so controversial. But I never doubt the power of Twitter to take something that seems pretty mundane and then get really, really, really upset about it. That's just how it works, man. That's just how it works. Anyway, I think all of this being said, they're figuring it out. I just think, again, early July, that's when the hammer falls, man. That's when things are going to go crazy. Because the fiscal year ends for Microsoft in 2 days. And then all bets are off. Or one day. Tomorrow's the last day of their fiscal year. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like, I expect Friday is going to be a rough day. I think Friday they're going to be doing mass layoffs. There's going to be a lot of articles coming out on later this week. For sure. Gavin, thank you for the very generous 20. Thank you, my friend. Do you think Marvel's Venom is coming out next year? I know the voice actor for Miles said it was canceled, but I remember an old interview from Tony Todd saying they only used about 10% of his lines from Spider-Man 2. I am not sure. I mean, next year, I think what... I'm trying to think. It might be early 2028 if it's still happening. I know some people would think it's canceled or scrapped or whatever. I would be surprised if it's scrapped. My understanding is that they had done like a ton of capture and stuff, so I think they could still do it if they wanted to. And I mean, Kevin Conroy also passed away, and they did Suicide Squad still. They didn't like cancel the game. So I don't think it's like the actor passed away, we've got to cancel the game and scrap everything. I don't think that makes sense. And I don't think the actor would probably want that either. Like, I don't think they'd want that either. I think they'd want to have their last project go out. So I think it probably is still coming. But I would think it's probably early 28, because my expectation is that God of War Lao Fei is early 27, and then Intergalactic is late 27, and then that probably leaves Venom open to be early 28, because usually they want one big game in the spring, one big game in the fall, and that's how they do it. So I don't think they'd want to put them both. Like, I don't think they want to put Intergalactic and Venom out in the same period. Maybe they end up putting Intergalactic out last. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that goes out in 28. Who knows? But yeah, I think if we see it, it's probably sometime in that like November-ish window for 2027, give or like, and maybe it's 6 months later, but around there. Let's see, Flagnut, thank you for that 5. Do you plan on playing GTA 6, Elder Scrolls 6, Hogwarts Legacy 2, Wolverine, etc. on Steam? I think your audience would love, or on stream. I was like, on PC, I guess. On stream, I think your audience would love seeing live reactions to trying games. I'm certainly open to all of it. The tricky thing is just if I do anything for reviews, that's where things get weird. Because if I'm doing a review for God of War, or a review for Hogwarts Legacy 2, and they provided a review code, I have to play that like a week or two before launch, and of course that's under embargo, so I can't stream it. And so by the time it launches, I've already like finished the game. So we can do like a stream showing late gameplay, but some people don't want to see that for sake of spoilers. So it's just kind of tricky. GTA 6, I'm not expecting any sort of review code, so I would expect we're going to play that at least a good amount on stream. Elder Scrolls 6, I would not expect a review code. If they provide it, that'd be great. But anyway, my wife's calling me because we have to go run to Home Depot, so I need to do that. I'll call it there, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for chilling. Much love. I will see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye, my friends. Bye-bye. Mwah.